All right, what is going on, you guys? Sorry for the delay. My bad. Had to take care of some last minute errands. Hoping to beat the clock, but it is us, the Young Melanated Council. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And so typically we start at Tuesdays at 9 p.m. But then again, life happens. And so we got to roll with the punches and do the best that we can. So without
A lot of
further,
life has been happening.
yes, well, all while life is happening. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Anyways. So tonight's episode, who are we? Oh, well, we are missing Toby. You know, the guy with the Nancy Pelosi fridge from way back when.
Yes. Yes. Toby's gonna be joining us soon. He's he's hanging out with some family.
Yeah.
Yeah, catching up.
Yeah. So he's going to be joining us shortly. But other than that, he told us to hold down the fort, which we will do.
Yeah, we're
We will
keeping
do just that. And so, without further ado, the topic for tonight is rather interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more so on the lines of Mish.
I love Mish. They're hilarious.
Yes. Hi, friend. Ooh, since you're over there, Mish, you get to be my test subject. I've been working on some stuff. So hopefully it'll work. Actually, wait a minute. Let me go here. Anyways, while I'm doing that, basically what we are going to be talking about is something dealing with the workplace. You know, reflecting on the culture of the company culture, and just pretty much dive in, especially now since pandemic is tapering off, if I could use that. I don't know.
Let's just, for the sake of the stream, it's tapering off. That's going to be the fact of this stream tonight.
It's tapering off, okay? So we will say it's tapering off, and a lot of people they're slowly coming back to work and whatnot. And so we're going to take a look at the culture before the pandemic, hopefully the culture during the pandemic, and possibly look into the culture after the pandemic and see if there's going to be any changes. And if so, are there going to be good changes, bad changes? You know, overall in general, we don't know. Henceforth, we're talking about it. Mm-hmm. And so I know this is pretty much going to be interactive, as all of our other streams are going to be interactive. So chat, feel free to chime in at any point in given time. Give us your 2 cents. Your 2 cents are valuable.
Yeah, it's worth more than like America's 2 cents.
Exactly.
Like you can buy our attention.
Your 2 cents can buy our attention. That's facts.
Right, yeah. We're cheap dates.
Working 9 to L. Ugh. That hurts. That hurts. That hurts.
I am like just so out of it with everything going on in my life that I'm probably a little ditzy. So just bear with me.
Hey, that's okay. We will bear it one another because as of right now, it's you. Sometime in the near but distant future, it could be me, it could be Toby, it could be the both of us. So you're gonna have to pull through.
I know.
Oh man. But yeah, so no, company culture, reflecting on company culture. And let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's dig into it. And if we want to, we can take it from various different aspects, you know. And I know for me personally, working in a factory, the culture there is kind of different, unique versus anywhere else. Anywhere else. And in L, if you wouldn't mind, you might kind of like talking about like the company culture before pandemic. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, you know,
Um, so I've mainly worked in like corporate office jobs, since graduating college. Well, except when I worked at Best Buy after I graduated college, but and after that, it was, you just show up, you sit down, you're on the computer, you get your tasks, um, but there was always just that overarching feeling of you might be being watched. You always feel like you have to just be in your seat, um, and just pretend to be working. So everybody, I think, has like their pretend to be working, um, like shit that they do, whether it's like scrolling up and down, you know, doing Control Tab to tab over into like a more important file, or Command Tab if you're on a Mac. If it's to use Outlook it, which is Reddit, but it looks like Outlook on your browser. So that there's like been several tactics. Reddit itself could just look a little bit more worky than Facebook that is. So we have all these like little tactics that we do when we just kind of want to take our mind off of work, or if we're not really like working on anything super pressing or something that we can get done in an hour, but it's 10 a.m. and you're going to wait until 4 p.m. to do it, and kind of rush to get everything done. Um, but like with company and corporate cultures, especially just like throughout the past, and I think we briefly touched on it last stream. It was just it's just the bullshittery of it all, where it's just like, oh, dress a certain way. Like at a previous job, I got in trouble for wearing like a tank top, and other women have worn tank tops, but for whatever reason, I got in trouble for wearing a tank top. It wasn't like super revealing or anything. It was, it's South Florida. It's hot all the time. I'm wearing a tank top, and then I don't know who saw this and was offended by this and had to tell somebody in my department to go and tell me. But it was, it was just one of those things where now you're just starting to feel kind of self-conscious. I'm like, was I really that, like what the hell? Like it's, nothing like that's ever happened to me. But now that I'm working from home, at least for right now, um, I don't have to worry about like how I'm coming in dressed. I don't really have to worry about anything. I don't really feel like there's less anxiety inducing things to worry about, whether it's like, just communicating with people with small talk and things like that. Like what B Julia said, like just the soul sucking hell of just even just small talk.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm sat like at a previous job, like I was sort of sitting in a pretty like in like kind of like a walkway, and people just kind of stop and chat and talk to you. And then I like talking to people. I do enjoy that. I find people interesting, but I don't like having the thought of feeling like I'm in trouble for talking to people. Like, fortunately, my current job, I don't feel that way, even when I'm like in the office, like and I never really like felt that way. Of course, like I had the PTSD of previous jobs because I like my current job is just like a hell of a lot better. Like I never really had, I still had the PTSD. I was like, oh no, I gotta. But like at previous jobs, there was just like when you think about it, like there was just always so much like just shittiness where it's like, oh, I can't just chat and have a conversation with one of my coworkers and possibly develop a friendship of some sort. It was just like, oh, come on, get back to work. It's like, okay, like, and what make like if nothing is due today, what's the matter for one, and two, even if there was something, I can just stay late and work on it if need be, or I'll just get it done. But there was just, you know, stupid like corporate politics of people just talking about other people like, oh, so and so showed up late again today. It's like, yeah, and the person lives late. The person lives far as hell, and they live, and like it takes them like 20 minutes to be able to just back out of their driveway because they live on a main road. You know, like we all know this. Why can we just empathize instead of stressing the person out for where he lives? You know, like I don't know. Like being inside, like especially like a toxic company, which it seems like a lot of companies are, which you know, which is just sort of like a terrible fact where people just care about things, or you're kind of taught to care about things, is sort of weird. All right, so let me backtrack a bit. What I've been thinking about the like culture and the word culture a lot lately, like especially this past year, just thinking of how companies were, you know, would always make it out to seem like, oh yeah, we can't work from home. Yeah, we don't have the means to work from home. Yeah, we can't do that from home. Blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, poof, we're all just working from home. Like I had friends who were, you know, were working from home, and they were happy that they can work from home, but they're also like very upset that this is something that they've wanted for years and were trying to advocate for it, but it couldn't happen because of XYZ stupid reason. And then now it suddenly did happen, and it's like, oh look, productivity went up, everything's great, everything that, you know, this particular boss or owner feared isn't even true. So yeah, so I've been thinking about like just the cultures of companies, and one of the things about culture is how with that, like they teach you to act a certain way, to talk a certain way, to look a certain way, to be a certain way without even saying it. So you know, like from like one of the previous jobs, sometimes I'd be like, yo, yeah, that person's coming in late. Then I'd catch myself. I'm like, why the hell do I even care? You know, this person's a great worker. They get all their work done. They're, you know, they're friendly, they're super personable. And like we're all salaried anyway. Like I can understand if he was, if you know, if they were coming in maybe like an hour, 2 hours late. But if you're coming in like 10, 15 minutes late, like who the hell cares? Like everybody works at the same fucking time and leaves at the same fucking time, hence the term rush hour traffic. And so, of course, shit's going to happen. There's going to be accidents. There's going to be traffic. There's going to be craziness. And we're all expected to come in at a certain time just to, like, I don't know, like just like appease like this group of people because like this is just the way it is, rather than like, hey, why don't you just come in at like 9:45? You know, like your first meeting will just be at 10 a.m. Yeah, it kind of sucks. You only have 15 minutes to kind of prepare, but you come in at 9:45. There's less traffic. You feel a lot better. You can get a cup of coffee. You know, you come in feeling a lot better. Then you leave at like 6:45, 7 o'clock. And then you break then you miss the traffic that way. But yeah, no, I wish I could think more linearly, but I think all over the place, and so I tend to kind of rant. Because you know, just thinking back on like previous jobs, I can just rant like this forever. I've always thought of like if I were to ever create my own company, like how T-Mobile has the Uncarrier, how they were advertising that thing, the Uncarrier. Like I'd make a company and I'd make it like the Uncorporate, like just undo all the bullshit, undo all of like the pettiness, the corporate politics. Like, don't try to kiss my ass. Don't try to suck up to me. Do your fucking work. Do it well. Know what you're doing. Don't try to talk around it. Just like if you don't know what you're doing, just say that. You know, because like no one's out here no one's out here gunning for your job. No one knows how to do everything. Just say that you don't know how to do something. Like, no one's gonna be mad at you. We're gonna be mad if you were like been wasting our time for 2 weeks because you really just didn't know how to do this assignment, this project. But yeah, no, I could talk about it forever. So that's how it was like in the past. I don't know if things have really changed. Well, no, things have changed. I don't know about other companies, but like I'm trying to think if I heard of anything from other people. Um, my company has always been like a little bit flexible, in terms of like if you need to work from home, you can. It's like, oh, Comcast is coming between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Can I like work from home or whatever?
Hey,
But but I think other companies are. I feel like most companies are going to go into like a hybrid model. I think even Google. I think it was Google said that they wanted people to start coming back into the office, even though they said you can work from home indefinitely, and then they just changed their mind. So now people are going to start going back into the office. I don't know about Twitter or Facebook, but I do think a lot of companies are going to go into the hybrid model because they realize how much work is getting done. They realize that taking care of your employees is good. It's a good thing. It's a net positive.
yes.
Who would have thought? It's like, oh my goodness, if we give our employees, if we're not breathing down our employees' necks, they actually do work. What? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Give them a chance to, do what they do best.
Yeah.
It's just a thought. Just a thought.
Right. But it's just so sad how it seems like I don't know who taught people how to like run companies, but it's like, why is like I don't understand like why there's just like a lot of shitty people in most like
There you go.
welcome, Toby.
Hey, Toby.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like you see all the memes on like Instagram, Facebook about jobs, companies, people just getting like paid little or like their boss treating them like shit and all that. It's just become like such a like societal cultural norm, and it doesn't even need to be like that. I think I think it's just whether it's managers or directors or C-suite people like C-level. I don't know if they just treat people poorly because that's how they were treated, and B, if maybe it's because it works. But just because it works doesn't mean that's the best course of action. That doesn't mean that's the best way for it, to go about that. Because like how like the old saying goes, if Henry Ford asked people what they wanted, they would just say they want faster horses. And it's like, well, you got to start thinking outside the box or start thinking about
No, no, no. He just pulled up. He just pulled up. Gotta let him in through the back door. Hey. Oh no.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I've just been like ranting about. Oh yeah, so I guess I'll finish my point. Welcome, Toby.
Hey.
Thank you.
I guess like the stereotype comes from like with managers, directors, what have you, people above you, supervisors, why they tend to treat the people that like the subordinates so shitty, or like it's like culturally the way to do it, even though that's like incorrect. I think the reason why they do it is because maybe that's just what was done to them, so it's sort of like getting passed on in a way, or they just know how to play the politic games. It's just sort of the culture of the company, or they do it because it works. But like what I was saying, just because it works doesn't mean it's the best course of action. Like yeah, you could like I forgot what exactly I was gonna say, but yeah, like just because a certain thing works doesn't mean like that's the best way to do it. And you start to see companies, doing things a little bit differently now. Like some companies offer unlimited paid time off. Like most notably, so is Netflix. I think Netflix has like a no rules thing, no rules rule at Netflix. That's what I've always heard. You start to see companies like offering better like a parental leave, like paternity leave. Some companies are offering that, trying to offer like more weeks or months for paternity leave and more months for maternity leave as well. Try to offer like hybrid where you can work from home and work in the office, like work 2 days from home, work 3 days in the office. They're trying to work with that. And I think the pandemic definitely pushed that because they started to realize that, like they've been holding their employees back simply just having them show up. And you're entering, I see companies kind of like as their own country in a way because they offer healthcare. It's a culture, it's a form of dress. It's sort of a form of dance, how you talk and politic and move about. So, you have like these employees that come in and, it's like, yeah, I can't really fit into the culture too well, or I fit in just enough to keep my job, but I don't really want to be coming in here every single day because it could be very, very taxing too. So I think a lot of companies are realizing that. So they're letting their employees work from home a bit, sometimes going totally remote. And, I think that's the great thing about it. I do think in the future, and this is just my prediction, that more companies are going to be just totally remote. I mean, there are some that are now. Like I know there's like this one UX company called Envision. Like their staff is 100% remote. I don't think they really have an office. I don't know if things have changed, but they're totally remote. I think GitHub is totally remote. GitLabs, I think they're totally remote. But I think that's going to slowly start to become the new norm. I feel that commercial real estate is going to be less and less, which might be a good thing because it'll, I think it'll lessen traffic and it'll provide, different like businesses or other or even housing in those places if, buildings are just empty. So I think that's where things are going to go.
Fair enough. Nice.
Gotcha. Mostly gotcha.
Doing some work on the side. No, that's cool. And it's funny how, and I know you were talking about the culture and whatnot. And I know when you're talking, it actually reminded me of when I was working in the factory, especially where it's like that feeling of somebody always kind of like breathing down on your neck and making sure that, of course, you're doing your job, but at the same time, it's like not allowing you to do your job at the same time. I get that. I get that a lot. But then again, it was like the actual workers themselves, not even thinking about upper management, just the workers themselves were some of them weren't the best people in the whole wide world. And it's like, how in the world did you make it through, X amount of years? How in the world are you still employed? Like, why? Like, dude, you're a human being for one, but at the same time, you don't have to be a terrible human being. You don't have to. You don't. No, you don't have to be that bad.
Exactly.
And there's been times where I would have, especially the space where I worked at, I had to like shut it down just so I don't punch somebody in the face because they were talking reckless. I had to call my supervisor, like, hey, I'm gonna need you to get in here like right now. Well, why? Like, listen, your orange, there's an orange shirt right now popping up at the mouth. And if you don't want me to be fired or get fired because I didn't just went across my little walkway and just decked them real quick, I have no problems doing that. I have no problem. Click him in my group lead came in like, hey, what's going on? Like, this is what's going on. This is what I'm dealing with right now. And I only have a small window to get this done, get them people taken care of, and that's it. Obviously, they don't go by what's going on my signage where it says I'm closed. I can't help nobody. They don't get that. So it's like, after repeatedly telling said person that, hey, I can't help you, you're gonna have to wait. Hey, I can't help you, you're gonna have to wait. They're not getting through this. So maybe if I throw something at them or just give them a clean right hook, that might solve the issue, right? Right. No, don't you do that. We'll deal with it. Like, please do. Because if you don't, I gladly will. I have no problems doing it. I have none. Zero. None whatsoever. And most people know, like, I'm not a violent guy. They know that. But once you get to pushing buttons, like, oh yeah, like, no, we gotta leave him alone. There was even one guy who was, showing a new person around, like, hey, this guy is probably like one of the coolest people you will ever meet. Flat out. Legit. Coolest person. However, he does have a limit. If you go past that limit, if you push the wrong button at the wrong time, he will become a total butthole. I'm putting it mildly. He said the real word, but I'm putting it mildly. Person looked at me like, for real? Like, yeah, he's about right. Like, I'm cool. Like the other side of the pillow, like no issues, no qualms. Whatever you need, if I got it, I got you. Like, but if you come up here and you start, popping off, like, oh yeah, I'll turn on you quick, fast, in a heartbeat. I have no problems. Mm-hmm. None. They're like, good to know. Had a good relationship. And most people, they're like, yeah, the dude works hard. He does what he needs to do, gets what he needs to get done, blah, blah, blah. And if he has to go to bat with you, he will go to bat for you. Right. There's been times where I had to get some stuff pushed through, and I'm like, hey, we need to get this done. Like, for real. Like, I've done everything on my end. It's on y'all. Y'all need to get this done, because if you don't, and if we don't get this in, we're screwed. Literally, we're going to be screwed. Oh, we'll get it done. A couple of days later. So, did Maury get pushed through? Oh no, still waiting. Like, oh my gosh. Seriously, like we're gonna run out. We're gonna run out, and they're gonna be looking at me all weird and crazy, and I'm looking at them like, I've done my job. I've done what I was supposed to do. It's out of my hand. And it's a love-hate thing, especially when it comes to upper management. It's a sure love-hate thing. It's like I love them, but I hate them at the same time. I do. And I'm pretty sure if y'all watch, y'all can testify to that. Like, yeah, upper management, they were cool at sometimes, and there were sometimes they were total douchebags. I'm like, yeah. Like y'all gotta go. Like, y'all gotta go. Y'all gotta do something, because we can't keep going around in circles thinking it's gonna work better the next time when it hasn't been done like the last 15,000 times. Like, come on. Like help me to help y'all. Like, if y'all want to make some money, okay, help me to help y'all make some money. Like, that's it. Help me. Like, I'm good at my job. I'm good at what I do. I know what I do. Like, it's not hard. For some people, it's not hard. But you make my job hard by putting me in a box. And Ronnie don't do well in the box, because he gonna find a box cutter, gonna cut a hole out, and you gonna find his way out that bad boy. You keep playing if you want to. But again, the culture in itself, it's just and even then, when it comes to the dark side of the workforce, I know a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, Oh, there's a dark side to it. There,
I mean, I know that there's dark, but like, how dark are we going?
like paper thin, dark to the point where it could pass as like flirting / sexual harassment. Like
Oh, okay.
that thin.
Okay.
That thin of the line. Like razor thin, like you could split a piece of hair with a razor thin. I mean, that was a totally different.
Yeah. I mean, like it's sort of interesting, like just thinking of like some previous jobs and all that. Like I know that I don't know. It like I've heard and seen like it from like I don't know, both sexes, all genders. I don't know. Like there are some like thin line things. Like sometimes it just depends on the relationship between the two workers. But then again, like a like a worker that's like seeing this can feel some type of way, but it's understandable because it's not right. But like, it's it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of the culture too of the company.
Oh man.
But it's true. I feel like everyone who's ever worked in fast food has had or has heard of like people who've hooked up in the freezer. Like
What?
Oh, Toby. Oh, Toby.
Yeah, because you can't really do it like in the storage closet, but like in like the I guess like in the freezer. Except there's the fridge and then there's like the freezer behind the fridge. At least in one of my like in a restaurant that I worked at, there was like you go into the fridge and then there was like another door that enters into the freezer.
Like an actual walk-in freezer.
Yeah.
Like SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like SpongeBob, but like worse because it's not colorful. It's just cold, and you just see stacks of.
And it's real life.
Yeah.
Like,
Lord.
I don't know if anybody like hooked up in like the freezer or the dry storage at Wendy's when I worked. I'm sure it happened. I don't see why it wouldn't have. But like, or like other food places. I guess I only worked at 2 food places. I could have sworn I worked at 3. But the other food place that I worked at, I mean, I know that couples have met there, but I don't know if anyone's like hooked up. I mean, that's technically, I mean, it's like the razor thin thing that, Ron was saying that it could be sexual harassment because it just takes one of them to just be like, oh, this person sexually harassed me when that could have been very consensual. I don't know how often that occurs, but I guess it's possible. But yeah, that's definitely a thing. Sometimes, that happens. Even at the other food place, I've never like seen it or, partook in that. But I just know that there were people who became couples at, the places that I've worked, which happens. It's natural, it's normal. But yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them get married, so that's good. I don't think I know of anyone who's like just like it was like awkward and like they broke up and then they were like separated and they were awkward or whatever. But not that I know of. I probably wasn't really caring or paying attention that much.
Oh man.
What happened?
I got a story for that one. Oh man, everything you said, Elle, is like, yeah, either I've heard it happen, or I was in the same vicinity of it happening. It's weird. It's weird. Oh yeah,
That's
it's
awkward.
weird.
That's just really awkward to see. Like people hooking up. Because then
Yeah.
like shit, I have like 4 more hours on my shift and I just have to just keep that to myself.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, here's the crazy thing about it. Like, for the most part, people tend to get away with it, and it's like how and people got to realize if there's a will, there's a way. Like that, there's a will, there's a way. Even if it's like a 15, 20-minute hookup, okay, that's a break for most people.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you get a 10, 15-minute break, boom, there you go. Where? I have no idea where. Probably in a car, or if you're doing automotive stuff in a skeleton of a vehicle, whatever, or even somewhere in the field, wherever. It happens. Bathrooms, sure, go for it. I mean, heck, we can even say the supervisor's office. You be big and bold enough, it happens. It happens. In the L's point, sure. The freezer, oh heck yeah. Heck yeah. Definitely. Yes. It happens. It happens probably more times than none. And you think, oh, everybody's so cheery, like, nah, they just got it in a fix because stuff at home wasn't even working out. And so the only relief they get is at work, literally.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes people use work as an escape.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I never really thought of it as one, but I guess it kind of is.
Yeah.
No, parents are arguing. Let me just go to work because I have to go to work. So perfect.
Yeah.
I really like thought of that. That's true. That would be an escape for some people.
Yeah. I mean, and even then, it was like to your point, Elle, where couples found each other at work and then they kind of broke up. It was awkward. Like, oh yeah, been there. That one threw me in for a loop. I'm like, really? Like, came in, you know, first month on the job, it was all lovey-dovey and everything. I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, you're cool. I know you're da-da-da-da. Got it. You know, and over time, as I got to know the two, both individually and together, they're cool people. Like, I had no problems with it. You know, months down the line, they get into it. They had an argument. And you could tell they weren't on talking terms because they both tried every possible thing to try to avoid one another, but at the same time, because of the fact that everything was so super close, it was hard not to. And you could almost like feel the tension. You could cut that thing with a steak knife. That's how thick it was.
Oh.
Yeah, and I just messed around, and I just happened to be in the area, you know, doing my job, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And me and the girl, I would say, you know, started talking, started laughing, he ha, you know, no big deal. X comes up, and meanwhile, I'm like, Broham, hold on, wait a minute, like, I don't know what you think this is, but this ain't that type of party. I ain't that type of guy, and I ain't trying to, not here, no. And then even then had a conversation like, okay, cool, like, yeah, like, nah, like, I know y'all had a thing, like, I am not the type of person to try to intercede, no. Mm-hmm. I got my own issues to deal with at home. I ain't trying to drag this in, no way. I'm good, you know. But even still, like, we were still good acquaintances, if that makes sense. I wouldn't call it friends, but like acquaintances. So like whatever one person needed, if I could do it, boom, you got it. Or even if the other person needed something, boom, you got it. and it just kind of just kept it professional, if that makes sense, the quote unquote, even though it was everything but professional, but still had to keep it semi-professional. But man, that thing was one of the ones where it was like, nah, never again. Do I want to be in that environment? But even still, when it came to the sexual harassment piece, it's weird, like I said, because it was so razor thin. You know, there was a guy that worked at one of the stations, real cool guy. Me and him, we laughed, we joked, we kicked it, and everything else. Like no problems, no issues. You know, and the rumor mill, I'm gonna call it that. The rumor mill was he messed around and got fired because he made some advances towards some girl. I'm like, okay, what guy has it? And again, the girl, she was beautiful, a beautiful young lady, very beautiful. And I'm like, he got fired because he made some advances, and she didn't like that. Like, I get it if it was over the top, sure, I get it. But if it was just something like casual, really now? Really?
You know,
And even
know what he said? Because I mean, if he said some like way over the top shit, like, yeah, no, I gotta report this.
and that's the thing. I don't even know if he said anything over the top. That's the crazy thing about it. And even the people that I know that worked in the same department as he was, they even said like he didn't say anything nowhere close to that. Nowhere close to it. Nowhere close to it. You know, he just made he didn't even make a gesture. That's how weird it was. It was like, I don't think that thing said like, you know, she had a big butt. That was it. You know? And it was like, okay. And again, young lady, yes. Naturally, yes. I'm like,
but at the place of work though, unwanted possibly. You're just like, wait a second.
It's like,
because I'm just thinking of that in my workplace. I'm like, that is just strange. If that just, I guess it depends too on the work environment, because there are places where naturally very unprofessional talk comes out of people's mouths. Is very like regular, especially like, not to stereotype too much, but fast food jobs. Like I remember a friend of mine who worked at Popeyes. She worked at Popeyes for not even like a full 5 months. It was like her last semester in college, so she's needed to pick up a job, and like, whew, there were some things going on. Like there were some things going on, and sometimes it is like that, where it's like natural for even the managers to be talking crazy to their female coworkers, and I'm like, how do these people not get fired? But everyone's like with it, and everyone's like engaging in the tomfoolery. But in some places, that's just like, wait a second, what? Like, if you say something like that, it's gonna be like, yeah, no, that's not cool at all. So I guess it depends on like how the culture of your place is. Like, if people regularly flirt and say things, okay. But if it's like out the blue, then you might just be like, wait, what?
I'll put it to you like it's a factory. So everything that is unprofessional comes out. Literally, everything that's unprofessional comes out. I mean, hey, there was a point in time where I actually sat down with HR and they asked me, like, you know, hey, how's it, you been in there for X amount of time? How's the culture? I'm like, you might as well just go ahead and say you're going to have to shut this plant down. Why? Because, for one, everybody talks trash to everybody. Everybody does. There's so much that goes on. You might as well go ahead and fire like 90% of the plant. Like, I kid you not. They kind of looked at me like, are you serious? Like, from the supervisors all the way down, you might as well go ahead and fire them all. They shut this plant down because no, it ain't happening. It's not happening. You might have the small select few that might, act cordial and everything else. But other than that, like for everybody else, oh no, no. Like the handbook, what handbook? That goes right in the trash. No. Even then, the dude was like, seriously? I'm like, dude, yes. Like, it's one thing to get thrown into something and you kind of know what you're doing and you get the job done. Okay. It's another thing to get thrown into something and you have no idea what you're doing. But everybody else around you who's been there long enough, they really can't teach you or show you how it needs to be done because they're worried about making sure their part or their portion is done. And if you don't grasp it at a fairly decent rate, you're going to fall behind and you're going to screw up the whole team. That's basically how it is. And they're like, wow, okay. And so what needs to change? Like from the top down, if the top down is not going to change, nothing else is going to change, period. Nothing else is going to change. If management can't realize and understand that their workers are people and individuals that have whole families at home, they have a whole life outside of this place, and you expect them to work 12, almost 16 hours a day at barely above minimum wage and expect them to come in all happy and dory the next day. Nah, it ain't happening.
Exactly.
It's not. And I'm like, dude, there's companies that do the same thing that we do that pays almost double starting off. And even then, there's room for advancement where they make more than most of the team leads that are working now that's been there for like 5-6 years. Like, come on now. You can't tell me that that's not enticing enough. Oh, I mean, sure, you got benefits, you got this, you get sign-on bonus. I mean, sure, cool, great, that's fine and dandy. But at the same time, everybody that knows something knows that by the time your sign-on bonus hits your account, it's not going to be a sign-on bonus because that joint gets taxed from the wazoo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what's the point? And then nobody really cares. Nobody cares because upper management doesn't care. And since upper management doesn't care and whatnot, henceforth, this is what you get. And it was like eye-opening, like, yes, because the type of work that I'm used to doing, I can do it in my sleep. This stuff, not exactly. I have nightmares doing this. But at the same time, if you ask me how to do it, sure, go for it. I can do it. If you ask me to fix this tool, sure, I can fix it. And have it working until you decide to beat it to smithereens again, then I don't know what else to tell you. I have to buy you a new one. But still, it's just that whole factory life, that whole factory environment. It's just one of those things where like it takes a different breed of people to work there because you have to have tough skin. You have to. And if you don't have tough skin, anything that somebody says to you that's gonna make you boo-hoo and cry, you might as well say you're out the door. Because if they can figure out, if they can press the right button at the right time to make you cry and whatnot, or your feelings get hurt, oh yeah, they're gonna pick on you until you leave. They will do it until you leave. And I told them from the first day, it's like, y'all bring y'all worst because y'all ain't gonna drive me out of here like I drive some of these other people out. Not sorry, but I'll fight you before I leave. I'll fight you. And I have no issues laying you out. None whatsoever. And even then the team lead looked at me like, you talk a mighty good game. Like that's because I can back it up. Like most other people, they can talk, but they can't back it up. Like, no, me, if I'm saying I'm gonna knock you out, oh, best believe I'm gonna knock you out. And then I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna wait for everybody else to come around and make sure you okay. And then I'm gonna continue doing my job because I still got this to make. At the end of the day, I still got this to make. Like, you ain't gonna stop me from making my bread. Like, for real. But again, a lot of the people that I said that to, they respected me highly because they knew and they understood that if I got to a certain point where I don't care about you, I just don't. And I'm gonna tell you straight to your face, I don't like you. Because of A, B, C, D. I don't like you. I don't like your attitude. I don't like your personality. I don't like you as a person.
Jeez.
Yeah. Like if somebody threw something at you and it knocked you out, I might laugh and check up on you, but at the same time, I'm like, that's what you get. And I'm gonna keep on going about my day. Sorry, but not sorry. They're like, man, that's kind of harsh. Like, yeah, I know, but if you drive me to that point, that's what you get. Again, sorry, not sorry. My disclaimer. So,
yeah, what do I have to offer all this? And there was a very spirited conversation going on already.
Yes. So, I mean, and again, we're just talking about company culture and more so like kind of like pre-pandemic era, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting because, I guess I'm the youngin', right? I've only worked at this one job for 2.5 years. Yeah, actually today, because
Toby, you muted yourself.
oh, I was talking first, then I muted myself, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. My mouse must have been hovering over it. I was just saying that I started my job 2.5 years ago. So I'm the I was like, I'm the youngin' here. So January 1st or 20th, whatever, it was MLK weekend. I showed up to my job. That's the only job I've had. So I don't have much of a frame of reference for anything else. But, the kind of company essentially, how do you describe it? They're sort of like a contractor. You get federal funds, do some tech engineering work for various people in the government that need it, agencies. So we're not like federal workers, we're not federal employees, but we're like a not-for-profit third-party company that does stuff. So whatever. Always weird to explain the company. Yes, I am alive. Well, I'm well and alive, Mish. Thank you. So overall, like the culture is very chill. Like a lot of the employees are older. Though I would say that there's been a push in the last probably like 5 to 15 years to hire young people like me, because a lot of the people came straight from government, straight from the military, straight from wherever. That's how the company was sort of founded in the 50s. Let's do government research and do things to help us in the midst of this Cold War and other stuff. But they were like, let's hire some young people and get new people in. So there's definitely been some shortcomings when it comes to like, fully onboarding, I would say, new people. But there have been very good pushes with different like young professional groups to like create, this young, like early career professionals have resources. Some of them are fun social things. Some of them are more like professional development with resume building, learning how to, have even good headshots in LinkedIn. Some of them were more like, let's just learn different things outside of our tech skills. Like, let's learn about healthcare. One of them was actually cool. They went through like the healthcare system and explained some of the benefits. Some of them talked about financial investing. So the point is, there are like good initiatives to help us, like younger, newer employees, but it's not natural. I feel like, especially where I am in Massachusetts, because our campus is, it's not like in Boston. So we're like a very much commuter type of place. I mean, obviously people commute to work, but we're very much like, meant for people with like families and people who really like have lives outside of this company. The other headquarters in DC actually has more of a young professional urban network. It's actually more diverse, not just with Black people, but with other groups. And it's closer to, it's not in DC, but it's like close enough in Northern Virginia. So, there have been some pushes to try to make things a bit more like, hey, let's be more sociable. Like, let's try to go out for lunch or like have happy hours, which doesn't exist in Massachusetts. I don't know why, but it's
What?
not. Yeah, there's some weird law that like you can't sell drinks for cheaper in Massachusetts on like certain days and times. So in DC though, I've heard people talk about how like their teams, they would go out to lunch all the time. They would go out and go like happy hour every week on Fridays, and I was like, dang, that's so different. Because like we are just like I feel like again a lot of people, older people, people with families work on my campus. So have fun having a social life with your coworkers. Like I actually have a friend who she moved to the area like 6 months after I did, working in a different place. Um, and her friends, like unlike me, where all my friends were outside. Like I was linking up with Boston Black professionals, other people having fun outside of work. My friend, on the other hand, had no friends outside of work, and she actually had a lot of friends where she could go like Six Flags on the weekend, or they would go to like a beach. Um, and I was like, really? I could never imagine that. Like I know there was like a going away thing maybe a month ago or like a few weeks. I was way too busy, but there was a going away thing for one of our coworkers who I didn't know was leaving, but until they started talking in Slack and they're like, yeah, this guy's leaving. Let's have like a going out thing in Boston. And again, our campus is like 30 minutes from Boston. So they made the effort to meet up in some place in Boston. And I was like, that's cool. I didn't show up. I couldn't show up. But there's I would say like culture overall, like there's a lot to be desired when it comes to the social aspect. Um, but like, people are friendly enough, but it's just like you would have to make the initiative to meet with people, like because that's just not going to happen on its own. Um, in terms of, I guess, outside of just the social stuff, it's very laid back and hands off, I would say. So like you have your tasks depending on what department you're in. I know mine is very like, here's your task. Come back in a week when you have something. Sometimes you have regular meetings. I've had many projects where we didn't, besides just like once a week. Sometimes we didn't even have that. So you literally could go weeks without hearing from supervisors, and they just assume you're working fine and everything's good, even if the things are not good and fine, which has definitely gotten me in some tight situations before. So it's definitely a company that's probably meant for people who have had a lot of experience and who are self-starters and very independent, and they can come bring their skills and do like research and experimentation and different things. But again, there's been a lot to be desired for young professionals who have not had a job before. And like I've talked to different people, I've talked to my division head, I've talked to others, and they do kind of admit that there are certain like things that could be better with onboarding. Like when I was an intern at this company before working here full time, and there was no real onboarding. Like they do a lot of good like training for just like security stuff and like making sure that you know how to navigate the main systems. But when it comes to the department, it's just like, here's your project and task. Yeah. Very kind of informal. And so yeah, it is what it is. It's relatively big, I guess. It's big and small. Like for a contractor, it's not that big because we only have 7,500 employees across all our campuses and sites. But like given like compared to other people's jobs in smaller companies, it's kind of large. Our campuses definitely have many buildings that you have to walk through, like skywalks that connect them, and like
Cool.
different, like if you're on the ground, it would take you a while to go from place to place, like outside. But no, it's cool. I mean, there definitely were like nice little events. Like they had like an outdoor like fair where they had like bear trucks. It was like 3 to 6 p.m. or something. So like a lot of people would end their day earlier. They come in and out. They had like beer, wine trucks. They had like food. I think most of it was free, but there was some maybe for purchase. I think the drinks definitely you had to have paid, but like actually that's not even completely. You know what? I don't remember. So that happened like once. Well,
I guess you drank a lot if you couldn't remember.
no, it wasn't that bad. Like, I mean, I think I had like maybe 2 of the beers, and I was like, "Yo, this is hitting." So that was cool. And like, I don't remember. Like, I feel like overall, like there was a lot of new initiatives, and a lot of them cut short. Like even the Black Culture Network was like a very new thing that got created like February of 2020, I believe. So they had their 1-year anniversary just like basically this year. So that had, well, at least here, like the McLean campus, which is near DC, they've had a lot more initiatives, I guess, because there's a lot more Black people. There's a lot more overall diversity. So like they've done a lot more things with community building and like whatever. So Bedford has been like slow to adopt some of those like initiatives with some of the multicultural employee resource groups. But I mean, things are chill. Definitely no crazy stories like you're saying, because it's just like such a it's a proper place, but at the same time very casual. You could wear jeans and a t-shirt. You could even wear shorts if you wanted, and that's like again like a place where there are military personnel working and government people who probably are wearing a little bit nicer clothes, but you could wear like anything you want really. In fact, they came out with like a formal dress code like it happened either right before the pandemic or probably like right before, because it wouldn't make sense like when you're working from home, but they came out with like a new like dress code where it was a very simple paragraph that was like use your best judgment instead of all these rules about XYZ. Here's like use your best judgment, know what you're doing, sponsor meetings XYZ. You probably want to look nice, but like we trust you to make good decisions. So very casual in that regard. The balance is definitely very friendly for working from home. It's a very like heavily work-life balance friendly type of company. Like I think they've been rated in the top 100 like Forbes best places to work. Computer World also had like some list that was like top 100 places to work. And oh, that's what that thing is. It's a bot. I was wondering like what that Stream Elements bot running. I was like, oh no, we've been hacked by bots. But then with your last comment, okay, I got you. Those are the commands you were showing last week.
Yes.
Yeah, I think overall, like it's a very good company. Like they care about work-life balance. If you get, if you have kids, if you're married, all these things that are just like, and even like caregiving, they have benefits. Like if you need the help with caregiving or being a caregiver, XYZ. During COVID, they gave a lot of benefits. But it's definitely it's very hands-off and laid back. Where like, you can get very comfortable just kind of coasting along. You don't have like the fast-paced culture you would see in the bigger tech companies. In some ways you have quick projects and quick turnarounds, but it's not like that. You're working basically at least 40, if not 60 to 80 hours a week. Like there's none of that. And it's not like the startup culture either. So sometimes it can be, depending on what department you work in. It can just be like, we are all figuring this out together. But there's oftentimes, especially when you're dealing more with the government, things can be a drag. They don't always know what they want, their deadlines and their timelines. Just because government can move slow sometimes. But like us, at least for our work, we can kind of be quick. But it's not like a big company like Facebook where we're building this huge product and you have to be like on speed like all the time to keep up. There's a lot of lulls sometimes and like a lot of quick work. You pick up something here, you have flexibility to do this XYZ thing. Yeah, it's an interesting place. And I've thought of moving to like something a bit more dynamic and fast paced where like maybe I should get that big tech experience or the startup experience, maybe hate my life a little bit, but like I'll at least get more of that you have that ramp up of feeling like you really understand a lot of the cutting edge tech and a lot of these things by throwing yourself deep into it versus where I am. It's like, yeah, I've learned some things, but it's not a proper tech software company. And, a lot of the people who benefit from this type of place are, again, the people who've already had a lot of experience, who are bringing that experience here. And there's people I've met at MITRE who worked for like 30 years, 20 plus years, 15 plus years. So it's easy to get comfortable and just chill, pay isn't as high as some private companies, like private sector, I mean. But benefits are good. Like they always make sure to take care of you that way. I don't know. I feel like it's very tame. Like I compared to your story for sure. Ron, like, that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, like what? Someone trying to like catcall or holla or go smack, as we say in Maryland and DMV. Yo, you're trying to go smack. Like he's trying to go smack at her. Like if you're going smack, it's like you're trying to talk to, hit on, whatever.
I know like talking smack, but that's usually kind of mean. So I don't know if that's where it derived from. Like he's going to go smack at her.
Yeah, I just searched it because I've never really looked it up before. I've always just heard it. So Urban Dictionary says to holla at a girl or to try and get with a girl.
What?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, it says, "Hey son, there go Tierra. You better go smack before her boyfriend come." That's crazy. I don't recommend doing that.
Especially if they're in a relationship.
Do not recommend doing that. You said what? That's how you ruin a relationship?
Yeah, especially if they're in a relationship.
Oh yeah. No. Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Like you can go smack if you want, but if they're in a relationship, that's not it.
You might get smacked for real.
You might. I mean, yeah. So yeah, that's a little overview. Like nothing crazy, I would say. Actually, it is funny. One little story I'll share because I guess this is pretty normal though in a lot of companies. You're not supposed to like to have things that are too political or religious or. I mean, obviously you can wear things for yourself, but like you're not really supposed to promote or spread. So like 2019, of course, things are heating up with the 2020 presidential campaign. I would sometimes have on like I had already stopped doing it by myself because I kind of realized, okay, I should probably not like flash certain things. But sometimes I would have on a T-shirt that would say like one said Massachusetts because math, and it was like a Mass Yanking shirt. But I didn't like have it fully exposed because I had a jacket on. And I had like a little pins, like the Yang pins, whatever. I wasn't wearing a hat. I wasn't like carrying posters or anything crazy. But like at some point, I think like I had already kind of stopped wearing the shirts, and I was only wearing like a little pin. But again, I have a jacket on, so you couldn't always see it because the pin usually I didn't keep in the center. I kept on like one of the sides of my shirt. So I walk in like I have a new office, like a lab, an open lab. So whatever. My desk is pretty close to the front, so it's not like I have to walk through the whole lab. I just walk in, turn a corner, and my desk is there. But like at some point, my manager came to me, and he was not in the lab. He's in a whole different office. But he said like, he's like, I personally don't care because I'm a very First Amendment freedom of speech guy. But like, he's like, I've heard complaints that you're wearing political items, and it's come from multiple people or multiple times. So, Miner has this, here's like the rules or the code of conduct or whatever. So yeah, just don't do that again. And I was like, okay. I don't know who really was that pressed to say something. No, but it's crazy because the person even said, my manager said, I heard there was a political item from one of the Democratic presidential candidates. I was like, that is very specific. So someone was able to like see it close enough and recognize who this person was. I was like, who really has the time and the energy to be like snitching like, oh yeah, this guy who our political item, I'm so cool, let me report him. Like, what are we doing with our lives? So I I I was just like, okay, I won't do that again. And again, I already stopped wearing like the more like big stuff. Like I actually wore like one of the T-shirts. I didn't, and I was at like a young professional, like early career professional event. I had my jacket on, but at some point afterwards, I had the jacket off. And one guy saw me. He was like, "Hey, Yang Gang," and I was like, "Yo," I was like, I didn't know who the guy was. I never saw him again after that. But he was like, I was like, okay, I probably should. I was like, yo, I appreciate you seeing this, but I was like, I probably shouldn't be wearing it. He's like, no, man, screw it. Like, there's never a bad time to wear a Yang shirt or something. And I was like, hey, that's like maybe September of 2019, shortly before the rally he had in Cambridge, actually. Yang did in Cambridge. So, which I went to that one. But it was just so interesting because I was like, dang, do people really care that much? Because normally like, you don't hear anything. It's very quiet and peaceful. People do their things. So I'm just like, someone really had the time to like report to like what the lab manager maybe, who then reported somehow to me, my manager. And I was like, that's kind of ridiculous. But
yeah, folks is petty like that. Folks is extremely petty like that.
It's true.
To this day, I don't know. Like, I'm considering asking, like, hey, I mean, it's actually no, I'm not really considering asking. But I was like, my line manager though, he's like a really like he's like probably like his 50s, but he's like a guy who jokes around a lot. So I could ask and see like, hey, did you ever remember someone reporting XYZ thing to you? But I'm like, I don't know if I care enough. That was 2 years ago almost.
Don't do it. That's self-incrimination.
Self-incrimination.
Don't do it.
I mean, he's like, nah, my lab manager, he's cool. Like, he's always making fun of people and stuff.
You never know.
Still,
Yeah.
don't do it. Still, don't do it.
It's sad, but
It is. It is. It is. Which, if we got time for it, rolls into the next kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say topic, but next talking point. Like, how do you think, or how has the work culture changed since the pandemic? We could either go from during and or after. And for those that are in the chat, same question goes out to you. I'll type it out as well. How has the work culture changed since the pandemic? And it could be either during and or after.
The work culture changed during the pandemic.
Mhm.
So I think people are becoming more open in terms of like emotionally, as I'm hoping. I think so. Like that just seemed to be sort of the way everything sort of shifted because it was a hard, like unpredictable time. So like I know that a lot of people were seeking out therapy and like counseling and
Mhm.
sort of all sorts of ways to just cope and figure out. There was a lot of death happening around you, a lot of people getting sick happening around you. Um, there, a lot of things were changing. A lot of things were just sort of happening, and you sort of felt, at least in my case, I just sort of felt like I was stuck in a box,
Mhm.
and I couldn't really see outside the box too much except for the news. And I couldn't really see my friends. Mom is here, and she has, she was like a high risk, in terms of like age, and also she has like high blood pressure, like literally like everybody, and she, and it was just very worrisome because it's one of those things where I'm like, well, I can't just go out and meet up with friends or do something because I might bring it back to her. And,
Right.
and it was just like, it was just sort of crazy, and everybody was sort of going through this, trying to figure it out. And some other people were just like, oh, just pretend this isn't happening. And, go on as if, life hasn't changed at all.
Right.
And there was a lot of misinformation going around and things like that. So I think a lot of people were becoming a little bit more open, just trying to talk, communicate, cope, try to figure out what they can do like in this space. So, and that affects your work,
Mhm.
like whether you realize it or not, even if you love what you do and work makes you, the happiest person on the planet, it still affected you.
Mm.
Like you couldn't just go to the grocery store, like wasn't that easy. You couldn't just go, to like, get gas and be like, oh shit, I got to use the bathroom. It's like, well, I can't just do. I mean, I guess they just probably not the best example, but like, it's like, oh, I can't just run in and buy a Twix or something. Like, oh, I forgot my mask, and it's just like all these these things that you have to care about that you never had to care about. Like being afraid of just going to run errands, being mindful of just hanging out with friends, seeing family. Like this affects everybody. And so I think companies have started to kind of open up, probably give their employees more resources in terms of, like health, mental therapy, and things like that. And, people, I'm sure, are probably becoming a little bit more open at work, emotion, because, this, like sometimes your coworker were just the only people you'd be communicating with. I remember, like, I was sort of just in like kind of work mode, just because this was just, I don't know, I don't really know why. I'm usually a very open person. If you want to talk to me, I'll definitely talk back, and sometimes I can overshare, but if you, but like I don't know, I'll only share as much as you're sharing, so like, if you're not really wanting to share, then I'm not gonna share. But I felt like there was like a giant elephant in everyone's rooms where everybody just wanted to talk and share and express, but you just didn't know how to go about that.
Mm.
So sometimes I felt a little bit taboo when people opened up, like, oh, thank God. I mean, like, I can like talk to you about everything.
Hey.
Like, so I think that's how it's gonna change. I feel like maybe people are gonna be a little bit more open. Like we all have this topic to talk about, the fucking pandemic. So COVID, coronavirus, it's affected us
Oh yeah.
And like it's touched each and every one of us in some way, shape, or form. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's what I think. Toby, I feel like you have something to say.
Nothing. Well, no, I was just really following along. I mean, I know there was. It's hard to say because I mean, we always had like department meetings once a month, whatever. Some people would show up, some people wouldn't. Um, and I guess like yeah, you had some things in person, but like, it was like I don't know like before the pandemic how much of the effort there was to like really just talk to each other about your lives and stuff. So they did like during COVID like two things. I guess the first I was gonna mention was within the department is that we did like these weekly calls. I mean, then they ended up doing them bi-weekly, and now I think we just kind of have like game nights. But it was like basically just like weekly like Zoom happy hours that they would do every maybe Thursday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I know it wasn't like end of the week, but it was just like Wednesday, Thursday at 5 p.m. Like just let's get on Zoom, let's show our faces, um, Zoom or like Teams or whatever made sense. And that was cool because it was like, yeah, now we really are just like talking to each other.
Just kind of hanging out too, and like it's a more
Right.
casual setting too.
Yeah, you get to
Right.
see people's backgrounds. Sometimes there were themes to the backgrounds. I only went to like a handful of them, but like I would try to go, and it was like, okay, this is fine. Um, this is interesting. And I want to say there was some, yeah, on the bigger level, the CEO, and they still do them actually now to this day. They had like these weekly CEO calls with all the VPs, or like a few of the VPs at least, and like the senior vice presidents, I should say. And so they basically would just have like a little town hall for 30 minutes. Oh my gosh, those things were interesting because first it was like, okay, we're giving very serious information about COVID. You have like a chat where people can ask questions. People are asking questions. Things like obviously got more tense once like the summer came around and there was the George Floyd murder. Like everything was happening there. Then people's comments were like, I don't know, like most people were like in support of things like around racial justice, Black Lives Matter, but there are people who would like sometimes push back, um, and say things like, because I think we came out with like a new social justice initiative, whatever, to try to like help with like things like equity and like health data and other stuff. And I guess that term social justice is triggering for a lot of people. So people are like, like, isn't this company supposed to be like non-political and like supposed to just be serving in the best interests of the country? Why are we now doing things associated with left wing or Marxist? Even at one point, someone dropped that, and so this is like a CEO company chat, and now like you're starting to see it devolve into Facebook level of stuff. Like I think one person at one point said something like, why should, because I think someone at one point there was a statement from the CEO or something involving like pronouns and you can maybe update them in your profile or something. And so on one of these calls, like someone in the chat was saying something like, I don't even think they addressed this question, but like someone was saying, what if like these things infringe on my beliefs and why should I have to conform to like address people by their pronouns, something. And you can see upvotes on all these questions. So that person got, I don't know, some tens of upvotes, maybe 50 or 60. Someone replied and they got like 180 or something saying like using your pronoun is not like a woe is me thing or addressing someone's pronoun is not this. I forget the exact like thing they said, but they basically clapped back and they were like basically like you can just get over it and stop acting like this is like a
How's it
like
go?
a
Infringing?
like
How is how you address me infringing on your? It's like oh, it's like saying oh my name is Toby. It's like I'm gonna call you Jeff. And then Toby goes against my against my. Like, that makes no sense.
yeah. It was interesting. Like I think at some point I stopped. I've always told myself I would go back, but I just was like I'm not really trying to do this right now. Like I stopped watching the see, and some of it was like coincidental, but some of it was also just like I don't think I have the energy for this. Like between like I think the week before the election, because normally our calls are Monday, but the week of the election, which was Tuesday, the call ended up being yeah, we had a holiday that Monday, like a day company holiday. And so I think that Wednesday, the day after the election, which of course we still didn't know who won, there was a CEO call, and I didn't go on, but I remember a friend of mine who works at the company. He posted a snap like, and I guess he captured the chat. And literally, someone in the chat was like, in the CEO chat again. This is like for questions about COVID. Someone was like, "Ha ha ha ha, Bunker Boy about to lose," all caps. And I was like, did someone really post this in our town hall chat? I was like, I don't even know what that November 4th chat was looking like. I still haven't gone back and watched it because they're all recorded in Teams. I didn't watch like anything from that time to like maybe somewhere in January. And I was just like, y'all are doing the most right now. Like, so that was different. So, I mean, the original point of me bringing up that CEO town hall was just like the fact that we felt a lot closer to the CEO and the VPs because like they were more accessible every week instead of like the once like a quarter all employee meetings that they would do for like an hour. And those ones used to be like those ones like before COVID. I mean, the CEO and like most of the corporate people they're down in the DC area, so we would never have seen him, but like you could still like have a room where he speaks and you get to see it, but you felt very disconnected and far. So then now all of a sudden you have access to these people, so that was cool. Even though at some point I kind of tuned some of it out, it got a bit repetitive. People again had their frustrations and people, I don't know, it was just like getting to like Facebooky at times. Because like you could post anonymously. That was the problem. Well, it was good because it lets people post things without like putting their name out there, but some people would do it to just like post things to be like more edgy, I feel like. So they thankfully changed it at some point, maybe February or even March, to make it so that you could post anonymously, but it only gets seen by the corporate leadership. If you wanted to post publicly, you had to post if you wanted to post publicly, yeah, no, I definitely would say that that's the case, especially just like with the various resources within the company, the Pride Council, I think even like we got a new like, I don't know if it was Chief Diversity Officer. I don't want to say the name wrong, but like I feel like we got more like we were showing that we were serious when it came to these types of things, at least at the corporate level and at the management level. Even if individual people have their own piece and they want to like, have their woe is me moment, why do we have to be forced upon these liberal XYZs? I think most people kind of accept and are supportive, but it's hard to say for sure. So it was interesting, but I would say like overall, like there was more like people were willing to like talk more. I mean, obviously before COVID, people would sometimes have their random conversations, but I feel like people were doing what they needed to do. The chats were like brief. Maybe at lunchtime, that was cool. Like if you were in the cafe, I would often see people and talk. That was usually not in my department though. It would be other people that I knew elsewhere, and we would like see each other randomly or sometimes plan to meet. But I think then during COVID, people like, I don't know, I had some nice little like calls with people where it was more about work, but then it would delve into just like other things in life. Right. And that was kind of cool. So I felt like people like you said, like people wanted to talk. And it felt a little less like weird to like actually talk about like life and just like how things are going. I even know that my old department head, because she had left somewhere in the summer, but right at the beginning of the summer, she reached out to me saying like, I wanted to check into how you're doing with everything going on in the country. It's crazy. Because she was like Jewish from Ukraine. Like she was an immigrant. Okay. So like she was telling me how she had been treated differently just for being, how she was. But that she was trying to like relate in some way. And another person reached out. They didn't explicitly talk about the protests and race, but like he was like a Latino guy. He was one of the not my manager, but one of the managers in my department. And he reached out around the same time, just saying if you needed air to talk. And so I did talk to him and kind of just ranted about like how like not even about anything involving race or that, but just other things that I just didn't feel happy in the company. And I was really like, I'm not really trying to be here. I always feel like I'm on my own, and a lot of it self-caused, fair enough. But like, I was just like, man, I've been looking, like, I feel like I can't stay here another day. Like I'm like this close to quitting. Here I am a year later. But at the time I was like convinced. I was like, I'm not staying here. So like, at least I felt good and comfortable talking to different people. My division head, who's like much higher up, like he reports to one of the VPs. even he gave me his number at one point. He once texted me like was it a Saturday? He texted me saying like, "Hey, I just wanted to make sure everything was good." So there definitely are people who care. Like a lot of people care actually. So I think that came out. Like it always was there, but like you could see that people were stretching themselves to like still provide a good environment for people. So and I would say that's like a good like little overview of how things have changed. Just people being a little more like obviously people are busy. People can fall through the cracks, but people were trying to make an effort to reach out and like create infrastructure, whether it was game nights. The Black Culture Network started doing more events, especially this year. They were doing like some wealth building and like learning about retirement and taking advantage of stuff. And so like there was definitely people who are like, we're not just gonna let people like we're gonna make sure we bring everyone up. We're gonna like take care of each other the best that we can. So it can be quiet a lot of the time, but like you know that they do care and that they're there.
Awesome. I mean, that's good. That's good. You know, and kudos to the supervisors, really, because again, like I was saying before, you know, sometimes you have those crappy supervisors, upper management who really don't care about what's going on. But now, since a lot of people are feeling since a lot of people now are feeling that they need to be connected in one way or another, that supervisors are reaching out and like, you know, just saying, you know, hey, just checking up on you, see how you doing. If you need anything, I'm here. And blah blah blah. And even if it is somebody from a different department, you know, still it just shows that, hey, we're in this together. No matter what's going on, you always can talk to me and reach out to me, and you know, just have that communication link. You know, and I feel as though that the CEOs, the VPs, they want to make sure that their employees are taken care of and let them know, like, you know, hey, we're here for you. You know, we understand we're going through some tough times. We understand we're going through, hardships of different kinds. Like, but we want to let you know that we're still here. You know, and I find that comforting to know that hopefully that little shift and that little change tends to ripple effect elsewhere, because people nowadays, whether they want to admit it or not, is like they're stressed out. You know, they want to go back to normal, but this new normal is still kind of weird in a way.
Trying to figure itself out.
Yeah, you know, and it's like trying to get back to what we once called normal. There is no going back to that, and so trying to create a new normal is going to take some time. It really is going to take some time. You know, even then, you know, I'll take the trip. Me and the family went up to Six Flags, and just sitting around talking to one of the coast operators, and you know, he was saying that night.
Sorry, I just had to whisper good night.
Good night. Good night, friend.
Good night.
Appreciate you being here.
Always.
It's gonna freak me out. It's like, the hell said good night. That's terrifying. Good night.
Like, wait, who said good night?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Anyways, and again, you know, just talking to one of the machine operators there at Six Flags, you know, and even he was saying that, like, with a lot of people there pretty much like all the time, even if they do switch off machines, it's just a simple fact of the matter that they're always there. It's like, yeah, it's some good times, is that, but then again, it kind of weighs on you. We're like, we get it. You know, we get it. Like, we're just trying to make sure you have an awesome time doing your job. And and make sure that your job's not done in vain. We want to have a good time. We want to make sure you have a good time. So when you leave, at least you can say, man, out the whole millions of people that came up, that one group of people, hey, it was cool. If they ever come back again, I would love to see their face. Cool. I'm with that. I am so with that. So, with that being said, company culture, reflecting on company culture, it's a mess. It's a mayhem, but it's workable. It's possible. It's doable. Just make sure you keep demon time at home and not at work.
Jeez.
What if you work over during demon time? Some people do. They work late night shifts. It's still keep it at home.
Third shift is a totally different animal. I'm not even going to get involved with that one. I've worked thirds. That's a totally different animal. It is whole. That deserves its own segment.
I can't imagine people trying to do shenanigans, because I'm gonna be dead tired. I mean, yeah, you sleep a certain way to wake up for the shift, but I feel like your body doesn't really adjust fully. So it's who's really gonna be out here doing shenanigans and now at that point you're going to sleep. Because
if you got a 5-hour energy or a Monster or some coffee.
Oh God. Do what you need to do. That's true. Do what you need to do to stay up.
Or cocaine. Some people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do have friends who've disclosed to me, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's different. not after having sex at work and then needing to stay awake, but it's just the thing that happens. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's
again. Demon time at work? No, that's the worst. Oh man, that's where people really don't care.
Yeah. It's also I'm sure stuff like that happens in strip clubs and things like that. We could talk about that later. Anyway.
Possibly.
We don't know.
That kind of business, that's messy. If you're working a strip club or regular club or lounges, and you're really getting in with each other, that's messy. That's messy.
Oh man!
I'm sure more people have had sex in a Taco Bell freezer than in a strip club. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm done.
I can't look at Taco Bell the same no more. Thanks, Al.
God.
I mean, how were you looking at Taco Bell before?
As a comfort food, as a go-to. Now I'm sitting there looking at my burrito man, I don't know if I should be eating this burrito because I don't know who or what was in the back of that freezer doing God knows what.
I don't either. I never worked at Taco Bell.
Neither do I. I worked at Burger King.
I worked at Wendy's. Oh God.
Fast food.
I'm not having sex at Wendy's, so there's that.
Oh, that makes perfect sense now. I can't look at Wendy's no more. I've eaten at Wendy's this whole weekend. Oh man. Yes. Oh, bean fries are done. Okay. Zip. Ouch.
I said no one is. Wendy's.
Maybe January, February. Jeez. Look, y'all.
According to me, from what I've seen at Wendy's during my shifts for the year that I worked there, I have seen nothing. Thusly, Wendy's. All Wendy's. Me. That is
Man, I hope nobody clips this and then they find a meme of some people getting it on at Wendy's and well, there goes that one.
Look at the wings. I'll say Wingstop. Their Twitter was wild, and we probably brought it up before, but their Wingstop was going crazy. Like it was really another woman a lady who started it, talking about like, oh, like how close are you? Are you up late and all this? And the Wingstop, the girl, I think at one point the woman was like, I just want you so much, and then the Wingstop was like, all you got to do is open your mouth, and that's like, all right, we need to stop. And people were like, whoever ran this account either got fired or got a promotion. I think the Wingstop account commented saying, yeah, they got a promotion or they did well or something like that.
So that reminds me, years ago, I made a tweet saying that I had some KFC, and KFC tweeted me saying like, it's a pleasure to be inside you or something.
That's different.
Pleasure to be inside you. I'm like, oh my god, what do you? I mean, KFC. This is KFC.
That didn't age well. Oh, that didn't sit well.
Yeah, I just know that my Popeye's friends, things were definitely happening. I don't know about inside the room, but like there are people doing things outside. Like the managers sometimes be out here just getting it on with their. I'm just like, what is happening? And again, that might have just been that one location, but like, I was like, this is not okay. Like, this is actually not okay. Not okay at all. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting conversation to carry on / brainstorm what shenanigans are taking place. So I meant to say this before. This is really the last thing, but it's just don't crap where you eat. I'm also kind of putting the clean version. Don't crap where you eat. That's the term for not hooking up, dating, but especially hooking up with people in the workplace. So yeah, don't crap where you eat, y'all. Or you can, and that works too. I mean, some people like doing that. Some people get away with it. It's never happened on my end. It's never even come close. Like Ron, it sounded like that person was interested. The person who broke up with someone was coming to you. I was like, yo, no, that's like two messy situations at work and rebound / someone who's hurting and vulnerable, and they just two very dangerous situations.
Facts.
I've really only dealt with the latter, and that was its own thing. But definitely not the crap Maria eats. I can't even imagine going to my job and just like, no, that's just wow. That's not it.
Nope, not at all.
But anyways.
That being said,
yes,
don't crap where you eat at.
Yeah.
And keep anytime. If you do, don't be messy with it. Sheesh. Just don't be messy with it.
For real.
Whatever.
Be careful.
Yeah. With that being said, we are out of here until next week. Same channel, same time, same trio, different topic. And yeah, have fun. Peace. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, following, whatever that. Smash the notification button, hit the bell, whatever y'all got to do. Silbear, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Mish.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Mish.
And for all of our lurkers on Twitch, I got something for y'all because I love y'all so much. For the lurkers on Twitch, we see you in the shadows, but we still love you anyways. Good night, everybody. Love, peace. Good night, everybody. Love, peace.
Oops.
Peace.